All right, this is going to be a pretty dense video. There's a lot of history here. I covered a few of these scorecards already: the CB Fry, notable matches, and Len Hutton 364. But there is a lot of dense content here. So if you're not really interested in cricket history, you might want to just turn this one off. But I've got, just as a little bit of a preview, got some notable matches of Don Bradman. Actually, three double centuries in here. I've got a Hobbs double century, which is his only double century. His last test. There's a lot in here. So I will try my best to make this move along and to be interesting, because I think this is really interesting. And by the way, when I purchased these, I knew a handful of these matches were really meaningful, which was why I was excited to get this. But it's been really fun to just learn and study kind of what happened in these matches. So happy to share some of this here. So here's some intersection of cricket history and war history. So in the First World War, there were no tests played in 1919. The most notable first class matches were actually where the Australian, I guess the military touring team, which was the Australian IF, played a bunch of first class matches in England, and this one is really cool. This was from 1919, and you've got Patsy Hendren getting a 135 and then a 63 not out. So really nice score from him. But the really cool thing was that this Australia team was kind of cobbled together from servicemen, and then they put up decent scores. And I think we had some really good players in that team as well. Jack Gregory's on that list. You can look through the players, but some solid players. But so this was in 1919, which you don't really think of as a year of Test cricket, because it wasn't. Test cricket did not start again until the 1920-21 season. So kind of an interesting piece of history there. Here you've got an England against South Africa match. This one is notable for a few reasons. Number one, if you look at the England scores, you've got a 211 from Hobbs, a 122 from Sutcliffe, and a 134 from Woolley not out. And you might think, oh, they forgot to fill in the rest of this. Believe it or not, that's all that England needed. England scored 531 runs. They had two outs. They declared. And unfortunately for South Africa, they only scored 513 runs in their two innings. So England actually won, only losing 2 wickets in that whole match. But Hobbs' only double century of his Test career, which is a really interesting fun fact, because one of the greatest batsmen of all time. I'm not really sure what's going on here. I don't know if someone was doing some advanced mathematics to try to figure out what the different batsmen's averages were. Here you've got Hendren. There's definitely some division going on here along this list of names. If anyone looks at these names and thinks that they know the rhyme or reason here, please do let me know. It is England versus South Africa, and I do see some famous names from the team. Like, I'm assuming that's Aubrey Faulkner there. But anyway, really interesting match. That was the entire scorecard for England. Another interesting thing, this was actually one of Sutcliffe's first matches ever. I think it was his second match in his first ever Test tour, and this was the first time that Hobbs and Sutcliffe both opened with centuries together, and they only did it 3 times in their career, believe it or not. So this was one of their greatest 1-2 punch performances as the greatest opening pair of all time. All right, here we've got a really interesting piece. This is not paper, this is actually silk. And some of the notable matches from the era, they would issue silk scorecards. And this is my only silk scorecard. I guess it was maybe fraying on the edges, so somebody added tape, which I'm sure makes it a little bit less collectible for some. But beggars can't be choosers. I'm happy to have a silk scorecard here. So this match was the sticky wicket match, or Yes, this was the sticky wicket match where Hobbs and Sutcliffe again opened with centuries, and this was their third and final time as an opening pair, both getting centuries in the same match. And this was actually a very important match because it was the match that England took back the Ashes. They regained the Ashes here, and this is maybe their most famous partnership match where they really did an amazing job of playing on a sticky wicket and getting really high scores. You can see in Australia's second innings, they only scored 125, the whole team. And here you have Hobbs and Sutcliffe, outscoring everyone by a ton. Look, the rest of the England batters, nobody broke 33. Nobody on the Australia team broke 33. And here you have Hobbs and Sutcliffe acting like there was no problem at all. So really amazing decider Ashes match, and one of their most famous matches as a pair. So that's why this one was silk. Very important match that the England team won there. All right, so this is hard to keep up with these. These are just a lot of a lot of history here, back to back to back. This was West Indies' first ever Test series in England. So that's what makes this one interesting. And another thing that makes it interesting is Jack Hobbs breaking the 150 mark. So 159 for Hobbs. And, for the West Indies team, an interesting team that had Constantine on it. So that one's pretty cool as part of the West Indies' first ever away Test series in England. Here we've got Surrey versus Australia in 1930. Hobbs put up a 146 here. Nice score from him. 146 not out. And actually saved the match for Surrey, which is pretty amazing to be playing against this dynamite Australia team. Surrey managed to stay alive here. Pretty nice result for them. The backs of these are really cool, aren't they? You can see how much cricket was happening. Now, I think in this period, someone correct me if I'm wrong, I think during this period, there weren't necessarily match tickets as much as there were like passes for a season or that kind of thing. Would love to know more about that. I don't have any, match tickets. I'd like to get some if they're out there. But here we have a massive score from Bradman, a 254. This was Bradman's first ever double century. And this was the series where Bradman really took control of the mantle of the greatest batter in the world. He scored 974 runs in 7 innings in this series, which is insane. I didn't do the math, but that's got to be 140 average, and just absolutely dominated England in this series. Also interesting, Duleep Singh's top ever Test score is only 150. He scored here 173 in the losing effort there. 729 score in day one for Australia before they declared. How about that? 254, first ever double century for Bradman. Here we have another match in that same series. This was again part of that Bradman 974 run record series. In this match, you'll see that Bradman put up a 232. So another double century for Bradman here. Pretty amazing. And this match is notable for a couple other reasons. It is actually Hobbs's last test match. Jack Hobbs's last test match of his whole career. And this was the match where Bradman actually reached that aggregate of 974 runs, which was, and still is, the most runs ever in a test match series. And if you look at the record there, a lot of the guys who have, gotten into the top five had like 10, 11 innings to score, 800 runs or whatever. Bradman scored 974 in 7 innings, which again is really amazing. Ponsford also, I think, put up a century here, and Sutcliffe put up a nice 161 as well. So, man, this is actually quite a lot of content. I'm trying to think of whether it makes sense to go through the rest of these. There are some amazing scorecards still in here. Just not sure if it's too much to go through all this. I'm feeling pretty tired just talking this much. But yeah, you can see some amazing stuff. And here's a really cool one. Maybe I'll just stop here for today. This actually was India's first ever test match. So that's really, really, really cool. India's first ever test match, 1932. And they put up a really good fight. England started really poorly. It was looking really bad for them off the bat, where you've got Sutcliffe with a 3, Holmes with a 6, Woolley with a 9. Hammond finally started scoring a few runs. He got 35. But look, even in the second innings, those were some of the best batsmen ever. Definitely the best batsmen of the era. Luckily for them, you can look at Jardine put up some really nice scores. If he had, put up some low numbers, there's no telling what would happen in this match. It would have been very, very cool if India could have won their first test match. But in their first 20 years, India really struggled in test. It took them a while to really get into their own. But anyway, a really cool piece of history here at Lord's in 1932. And yeah, we can probably end there. I do think I've got another Bradman double century that might be worth showing. Let me see if I can find that. That one's from August of 1938. Let's see if we can find that one. Yeah, here we go. So this was not a test match. This was the MCC versus the Australians. Still a first-class match. But here you go. Bradman 278. Still a great team here on the England side, the MCC side. There you go. That'll be it for today. I'm not sure if I'll make any other videos with these in case, unless anyone says that they definitely want to see it. I do have a Compton double century, his first of second, probably the greatest season ever for an England batter, which is 1947. And I'm lying. I'm going to pull it out. I like this stuff too much. Because I might not make another one of these. Here's another Hutton century here in 1945. But where's that one from 47? I think this is it here. Yeah. So this is England versus South Africa here. And yeah, Compton put up 208. I think for this whole season, Compton scored 18 centuries and scored 3,800 runs. It was the summer of national hope after the war, and Compton established himself as not only probably England's greatest batsman of this era, alongside Hutton, but also just a complete celebrity. So, he's first class soccer player as well, footballer, if you will. And, this was his greatest season and his only double century in this great year where he averaged an insane amount of runs and seemingly put up big numbers every time he played. So hope you enjoyed that. I could go through more of these. If you want to see some of these, let me know. Even some of the backs on these are just really, really cool. That is probably a good place to end. How about that?